In this lesson we're going to learn about the other chords that we use, the sevenths. So we have major and minor so far. What about the 7 chords? We use E7s and A7s all the time. So let's learn where they come from as well. Now the chord of E7 is short for E dominant 7th. So a 7th is actually short for dominant 7th. So let's work out the formula now. We have a different formula again for a dominant 7th. It's 1, 3, 5 and then flat 7 is added on as well. So it's a 4-note chord. So let's have a look at a C. So a C chord, you've got the notes of C, E and G, and what we have to add on is the flattened 7th. So we can see that in the major scale the 7th is a B note, so we have to lower that down to a B flat note. So let's play our C chord, and we realise that all we have to do is add a B flat note somewhere. So the easiest B flat to add, of course, is this note here, which is the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, which is the B flat note. And we now have a C7 chord. You'll see that's the same as a C7 we learned in the beginner's course there. So a 7th or a dominant 7th is 1, 3, 5 and then flattened 7th, dominant 7th. So we'll work with any of them. Let's try an A chord and make that into a dominant 7th chord. So we need to add on a G natural note, because in the major scale the 7th is a G sharp note, so to make it a dominant 7th we have to make it a G natural note. So this is the G sharp here, of course, on the 4th fret. Let's make that a G natural there on the 3rd fret. Add that in with a little finger. We have an A7 chord. The other way we know how to play A7, of course, is like this, with just our 2 fingers. What we're doing there is an A chord, except this note here on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string is an A note, and we're going to make that into a G natural note, which is the dominant 7th note, and then we have an A7 chord as well. That's how dominant 7ths work. They're shortened to 7th because dominant 7th is too long to say easily, so it's just called a 7th. So A7 and E7 in that are using the formula of 1, 3, 5 and then flattened 7th. The next 7th we have to learn is about the major 7th. Now that's a lovely sounding chord like jazz chords. They have a very rich tone to them. They use an easy formula. It's just 1, 3, 5 and then 7. No flattens or sharpenings in there at all, just 1, 3, 5 and 7. So let's have a look at our C chord again. There's our C chord. What we want to do is make that into a major 7th. So we have to add a B note in there somewhere. So the easiest one to do is to take off the 1st finger and then you've got a B natural note down there. So then we can just play that chord like that. We now have a C major 7th chord. Very nice sounding chord. That's the major 7th. So we could try it on an A as well. Here's our A chord here. What we have to do is add in a G sharp note. To keep the 7th of the A major scale, of course, is the G sharp, so we have to add that note in. So the easiest G sharp is on the 4th fret of the 1st string, that G sharp note there. So let's play our A chord, put our little finger down there. We have an A major 7th chord. Very nice sound. Again, with the other A major 7th we know is like this, of course, and that's using the A chord, and we're taking that A note on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and dropping it back to a G sharp note here, and we have an A major 7th chord. So that's how A major 7ths or major 7th chords work. They have the formula of 1, 3, 5 and then 7. The dominant 7th, of course, is 1, 3, 5, flat 7, and the major 7th is 1, 3, 5 and 7.